210 years since the birth of Mozart. Hello? Greetings from old but eternal Salzburg. Oh, Mozart is and remains a miracle that defies explanation. In the Mozart Museum in Salzburg, Austria, also known as the Mozarteum, there is preserved a music notebook that belonged in childhood to Mozart's sister, Maria Anna, who was 5 years older than him. This notebook contains various piano pieces of moderate difficulty, next to some of which Mozart's father wrote notes such as, on January 26, 1761, one day before turning 5, Wolfgang learned this prelude in just half an hour. Or, Wolfgang composed this minuet and its trio when he was 5 years and 2 months old. And so on. Seized by a strange excitement, the visitor to the Mozarteum moves silently from hall to hall and, as if hypnotized, gazes at the countless documentary materials, musical manuscripts, letters, and memoirs of contemporaries, which, regardless of whose hand they come from, reveal and confirm the same thing, the fact of a true miracle of existence. Mozart, whose face does not brighten, in whose gaze does not sparkle a glint of joy, whose heart does not tremble with gratitude and affection at the mention of his name, and at once, in everyone's memory resound piano and violin concertos, chamber works, symphonies. Before the mind's eye come alive figures from the operatic stage, Constance and Belmonte, the nimble Figaro Susanna, the sorrowful and kind Countess, the spring young Cherubino, the elemental Don Giovanni and the proud Donna Anna, the suffering Elvira and the cunningly Narva Zerlina, the virtuous Pamina, the treacherous Queen of the Night, the Nalarva Papageno and the sly Monostatos, the sage Sarastro, and many more varied images of truly living people, immortal creations of a great artist. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born in Salzburg on January 27, 1756, into the family of the well-known musician, pedagogue, and composer Leopold Mozart. The child's phenomenal artistic and intellectual manifestations quickly gained renown and became the focus of public attention. Concert tours to the major musical centers of Europe began. In 1762, the Mozart family visited Munich and then Vienna. "No one plays like that!" "This music conquers the heart," exclaimed Joseph Haydn when he first heard the 6-year-old Mozart, and Clementi, one of the most esteemed pianists of the time, added, "I have never heard anyone play with such inspiration and beauty." The following year, the child prodigy gave concerts in Mannheim, Worms, and Mainz. In Frankfurt am Main, Wolfgang played before the young Goethe, who, remaining an ardent admirer of Mozart's genius throughout his long life, later shared with Eckermann. I still remember the little man with a wig and a short knight's sword at his side. After Frankfurt, the tour continued triumphantly through Paris to London, where Mozart played with Johann Christian Bach, one of the sons of the great Sebastian Bach, heard Handel's oratorios for the first time, and, at only 8 years of age, conducted a series of his own concerts. During the period 1769 to 1772, Mozart visited Italy twice. The reception and successes he enjoyed in this classical land of the arts are difficult to describe. In Milan, Verona, Venice, Florence, and Rome, The concert halls and churches in which he appeared were packed. Everyone crowded in to hear and see the boy who conducted his own works. After brilliantly passing a demanding examination in the musical sciences, the Bologna Academy solemnly proclaimed him an honorary member, and the Pope bestowed upon him the high title of Knight of the Order of Malta. But with the journeys to Italy, the happy half of Mozart's life also came to an end. Bitter disappointments awaited him in his homeland. His service as a musician at the court of the Salzburg Archbishop Prince was humiliating and onerous. He was counted among the ordinary household servants and was poorly paid. After a series of clashes with his domineering master, Mozart sought work and independence in Vienna. But here, alongside creative joys and his happy marriage to Constanze Weber, 1782, new setbacks and material hardships overtook him, stemming from envy within the professional milieu. Years of arduous struggle for existence followed, the last 10 years of his life. Nevertheless, his creativity unfolded ever more richly, more abundantly, more maturely. A number of major orchestral and chamber works, instrumental concertos, masses, organ works, and songs appeared. Almost one after another arose his great late operas. The Marriage of Figaro, 1786, Don Giovanni, 1787, Cosa fan tutti, 1792, La Clemenza di Tito, 1791. Mozart created his final works, the opera The Magic Flute, 1791, and the Genius Requiem, while his health was deteriorating. On September 5, 1791, he conducted the premiere of The Magic Flute. With great effort, he managed to remain on his feet for the next 2 performances, after which his health completely failed him. Gravely ill and bedridden, Mozart feverishly worked on his Requiem, which was not destined to be completed by his own hand. On December 5, 1791, before reaching the age of 36, Mozart died in Vienna. What did Mozart leave to the world, to world culture? A music pulsating with joyfulness and optimism, an art inspired by the ideals of the loftiest humanism. From his works, over 600 compositions of all musical genres, flows the harmony of a just world, which calls forth the humanity in humankind, reveals perspectives of happiness, and mobilizes noble deeds. This is the world Mozart bequeathed to humanity, a world of goodness, of unceasing joy, of unfading spiritual light. That is why the name Mozart, synonymous with eternal youth in music, with purity and the highest human virtue, whether read on a poster, on the cover of a book, or spoken in conversation, intrigues and moves everyone, awakening sympathy, reverence, and admiration. Why do Freemasons listen to Mozart? The Magic Flute is a secret initiatory ritual. The cult duet Papageno and Papagena is engraved on the golden phonograph record traveling through space. The Magic Flute, as a secret initiatory ritual, on the night of September 30, 1791, when a slightly shabby yet imperially self-confident audience in a Viennese theater erupts into frenetic enthusiasm, no one suspects that a miracle has occurred. The world does not yet know that it has received one of its most beloved operas, The Magic Flute. Goethe has no idea that he will become so obsessed with the music that he will want to write a libretto for its sequel. and the powdered men and women leaving the hall have no inkling that they have taken part in a secret initiatory ritual. Only the composer conducting the premiere, that young, eccentric oddball with an impudent smile, knows that at that moment he has scored a triple triumph. He has given his brethren the most thrilling musical path to the temple. He has made the pretentious Viennese society fall in love, without realizing it, with Freemasonry, which it greatly fears. And he has done so through a singspiel opera from German singing plate. And, of course, he has once again rubbed the nose of the envious braggart Salieri, who for so long has been trying to breathe down his neck. At that moment, the spark of life returns to Mozart's ailing eyes. "Do you know," they asked the audience, repeated the duet man and woman, as well as the music of the little bells in the first act. The 35-year-old maestro rejoices like a small child in a letter to his wife, his beloved Constance. He writes it while still on the way from the theater of success to the apartment gnawed at by creditors. The yummy cough that for months has left him breathless seems to retreat before the genius and grant him a brief reprieve. At the next few performances of the Magic Flute, everyone again sees the playful Wolfgang bustling between the boxes and backstage, himself playing the music of the little bells. The Magic Flute remains one of the works most cherished by Freemasons, not only because it is the work of a brother. The seemingly naive plot is in fact philosophical. The libretto precisely interprets the ritual of initiation to the degree of apprentice. The young Prince Tamino sets out from the depths of the kingdom of night to reach the sunlit temple and win the love of Pamina. Along the way he passes through the trials of the fearsome storm, of silence of water, and of fire. Just as the candidate for apprenticeship overcomes the trials of the four elements earth, water, air, and fire, and perfects the four elements of the human being, matter, feelings, mind, and soul, Tamino and Papageno are left in the dark antechamber of the Sun Temple, just as the future initiate symbolically separates from the world and explores the depths of the earth, remaining alone, in silence and darkness, in the room of reflection. The ritual is ancient. It is inspired by the descent into the underworld of Rhampsinitus, who reaches the depths of darkness to play chess with Isis. He returns to the world after learning the secrets and laws of the white and black squares, which from then until today form the mosaic floor of Masonic temples, to persuade the three priests to accept Tamino. The sage Sarastro says, "The son of the king wanders near the northern gate of our temple and shows a desire to be stripped of his veil and to gaze into the altar of the great light." According to researchers of secret societies, Mozart's character utters almost word for word the phrases from the Masonic ritual. For the Freemasons, the North is associated with darkness and lack of enlightenment. The number 3, key to all secret societies, insistently pervades the Magic Flute. The 3 ladies of the Queen of the Night save Tamino from the serpent. 3 boy geniuses accompany the prince and the chatty bird catcher Papageno. Among the characters are also 3 priests and 3 slaves. The arias of all of them are true masterpieces of the trio. The libretto of the Magic Flute is also the work of a Freemason, Emanuel Schikaneder, 1748–1812. The famed dramatic actor, director, poet, and impresario of his time was a friend of Mozart from Salzburg. In 1791, Schikaneder became director of Vienna's Theater an der Wien and immediately commissioned Mozart to write an opera to his libretto. Amadeus was delighted and inspired, for the opera was in German, and after the abduction from the Seraglio his dream of composing again to a German text had not been realized. Moreover, the plot captivated him, fairy tale, like filled with symbols and mysterious rituals, in harmony with his esoteric pursuits. As Goethe exclaimed, a utopian and strange fairy tale in which human virtues are preached: love, industriousness, moral perfection. A curious detail is that while Amadeus was composing, another Viennese theater announced the premiere of an opera by Mummüller with a similar plot. This enraged Schikaneder, and he reworked the libretto, turning negative characters into positive ones and vice versa. Thus Wolfgang had to recompose entire scenes, while at night, in parallel, composing his legendary Requiem. The result was a dizzying success. In just 1 year, Schikaneder announced the 100th performance of the Magic Flute on stage. The genius from Salzburg, however, would never know this. The illness, over which his biographers still argue trichinosis from mercury poisoning, rheumatic fever, syphilis, dropsy, or acute pleurisy, closed his eyes forever 15 minutes after midnight on December 5, 1791. Mozart's oeuvre is especially compelling to Freemasons because the genius created many works specifically for lodge rituals. According to his researchers, Amadeus became part of the brotherhood in 1784. His father Leopold was also a Freemason. Conspiracy enthusiasts who seek the hand of Freemasonry in everything note that, coincidentally or not, the cult duet from the Magic Flute, Papageno and Papagena, is engraved on the golden phonograph record that has been traveling through space since 1977 under the Voyager program. The Devil's Chord, since the time of the mythical singer Orpheus. People have believed that musical harmony is the most direct and truest path to union with God. An emblematic medieval example is the church mass. Immersed in harmonious chords, the believer would enter an almost trance-like state. The violation of harmony was considered the work of the devil, and certain chords were forbidden because they sounded evil and dangerous. This refers to the tritone, a chord containing an interval of 3 whole tones. The classical harmonic 4th and 5th contain, respectively, 2½ and 3½ tones. But instead of a divine spark, 3 whole tones carry a sound from hell.